Hey guys, we're back with more Sryth, our fantasy text-based RPG. Last time we were, let me think, what were we doing last time? Last time we were still in Hawklor, so we're doing the adventures of Hawklor still. That's the first city or township that we come to when we start the game. We've done a lot before we did this town in regards to buffing up our character, getting all of our attributes, getting all our skills and powers. And so now that we had done all that, we come back to Hawklor, start from the beginning, and do those things. So that's what we're going to continue to do. Here, so we're in Hawklor. I do want to check for experience. I can still get these two skills. That's not one I meant to click on. I meant to click on the Quickstone Daily Experience. So yeah, last time I played, which was January 18th, I earned 88k or almost 89k of experience, so my bonus is 10%. That's what that stone gets for you, and it heals you automatically anytime you get to a safe zone, is the point of that stone. Otherwise, I also want to go to my castle. What's a functional upgrade? Lady of Arcanum. A marvel to behold, this library is filled with a vast collection of books, scrolls, tomes, and even a few tablets that contain a wealth of arcane knowledge and mystical lore. The Grand Library surely rivals those that are meant to exist within the well-protected abodes of the realm's greatest sorcerers. You can search the library, see if there's anything of interest or value to be found within its age tag. At current level, I can search. Okay, let's search. Oh, amongst the countless books and documents that clear the shelves and tables of the library, you discover a room covered sheet of parchment. A long and careful study of the parchment reveals several fascinating and enlightening passages on a broad range of magical disciplines. The valuable knowledge you've managed to glean from the perusal of the sheet of parchment has served to help you improve the mastery of the mystic arts. After you complete your examination of the sheet of parchment, return to its proper place in the library. Oh, so I can just get experience every time I come search the library. That's nice. Alright. I think today I want to improve on the upgrades I've already made. So let's do the map. Just a better looking map is all around good with me. You can do up to 3 levels of everything, so I'm just going to do that on everything in here. And that's it. You can only do 3 upgrades a day, so I think one day I'll have all 100 upgrades and all that, so let's leave. Let's travel back to Southwest Tisa, back to Hawklor, where we're gonna go in there and do more quests. Let's save. And then let's hit the Avengers. So we got 2 more. I'm going to do Peer Pores first because it's probably going to be less involved than the Giants quest. So let's start that one. Embark. And so begins Peer Pores' request. A frigid late autumn wind rattles the tavern's shuttered windows, though above the boisterous din that fills the stoneback is only just barely noticeable. Peer Pore, his arms laden with firewood, strides past the table at which you've taken up residence, pausing to say that he has something to discuss with you. I'll be back in a moment, he says. Don't go wandering away just yet. As the tavern keep bustles off towards the fireplace for the omelet of fuel, you turn your attention to the vessel resting before you on the edge of the table. The vessel's filled with, I'm gonna go with Palo. You've taken a couple sips of your Palo when the tavern keeper reappears out of the throngs of patrons and sees himself at your otherwise empty table. How's the brew? He asks, nodding at your steaming vessel. I didn't make it, but I had just a bit of it earlier. It seems strong. Maybe a little bit of it, that's how I best like it. I won't sample poor Palo. Before you can respond to his inquiry, Peerpool smiles and slaps the edge of the table. Now enough about that. I have something a bit more important to discuss with you. Oh, he's just starting a conversation with me. I'm gonna eat my smoothie here. before I keep going. Pierpont seems hesitant to begin, folds his hands behind his head and leans back in his chair. Then he suddenly unfolds them, places them on the table where his fingers begin drumming out a frantic scattered beat. You see, I have sort of a favor I wish to ask you, he says. Pierpont clears his throat, glances around, and then leans in across the table as if he fears being overheard. It's about this place, the tavern, he says, or perhaps, more to the point, about something here in the tavern, something very near and dear to me, but something about which something must be done. Sure. Pierpont continues to prattle through, though he seemingly never gets close to saying what he's indicated he wanted to tell you. You get the sense that he's waiting for you to say something, though you're not certain what that something might be. Come on, my guy, let's go. Pierpont's face goes flush and he laughs. The tavern keep nods and apologizes for laboring to arrive at the heart of the matter. It's not an easy thing for me to say, he says. But it needs to be said, and I can't fear saying it. All right, you've pushed me into it. I'll say yes. I'm ready to say it. Are you ready? I'm ready. Here, I'll say it. I was wondering, being a kind-hearted lady means that you are. You'll never convince me otherwise. If you would do me a great favor and even a great honor of henceforth looking after and seeing the needs of a dear soul very precious to me, but whose time within these walls must at last, out of great necessity, be made as short as possible. Suddenly feel a brush up against your leg. Glancing down, you spot candles. Pierpont, scrawny, beloved feline, wrapping her long tail around your calf. Candles kneels twice and rubs her head against the side of your foot. You look up and lock eyes with Pierpont. The tavern keep nods. In that instant, you realize you've just been asked in a very roundabout way to adopt his cat. What? Pierpont's unexpected request, now deciphered, has caught you completely off guard, with the subject of the entreaty still moving about at your feet, now and again rubbing your head against your leg. The tavern keep looks at you expectantly. I can only say that she's become somewhat of a nuisance about this old place, he says, shaking his head and closing his eyes as if the admission pains him, nipping patrons, snatching at their belongings, and any number of other undesirable sort of things. She needs a peace and quiet, some place where she can roam and explore without folk tripping over her, cursing at her. Pierpont places his hand flat on the table and sighs. Hey, and I just upgraded the castle. I don't know what else you've got roaming in the halls of Apple River Castle, he says, but I'm willing to wager you have to know beasts like candles. What do you say to it, my friend? Could you see to give old candles the home she deserves? She and I would forget forever be in your debt. Yeah, she can roam the castle. I got servants, I'm sure. Pierpont exhales loudly and slumps back in his chair when you tell him that you gladly adopt his beloved cat, as if she's somehow aware of what is just taking place. Candle leaks onto your laps, curls into a ball, and purrs audibly, proceeds to fall asleep. Great weight off my mind, says Pierpont, smiling. I'm going to miss the old gal, but she deserves this. I can't thank you enough, my friend. You made me and Kendall's very, very happy. Come, let's make the proper arrangements. Cradling the candles in your arms, you follow Pierpont into a room at the back of the tavern. There he directs you to a wooden cage set upon a cluttered table. He tells you that he had the cage built specifically for holding candles, though he's never before had reason to make use of it. This should suffice for your journey to your new home, he says, affectionately rubbing Candle's sleek, slender face. I wish you both nothing but the best. If I'm to be in any sort of mark, I'm sure that Candles will soon catch her spelling you too, my friend. She's quite the cat, and no mistake about it. Seriously, this whole quest is about adopting his cat? Hilarious. As you prepare to set out with Candles curled up atop a crumpled cloth sack inside the wooden crate, Pierpont again thanks you and tells you that he is in your debt. Goodbye, my friend, says Pierpont, smiling kindly as he reaches through the great wooden bars of the cage and strokes the top of Candle's head. You behave yourself and keep well. You briefly place the cage on the floor so you meet the tavern keeping a shoulder cloth before making your way left stone back, eager to transport your adopted pet to a new home. Stepping away from the tavern, you turn and look back. There, standing in the doorway, his eyes glistening with the pale glow of autumn sun, is Pierpont. He waves, steps back, and slowly closes the door. Candles meows twice, turns twice, and sinks back into a comfortable cloth heap at the bottom of the cage. Candles will now be present at Apple River Castle. Awesome. Cool, I'm good with it. Even though he tried to eat me when I was tiny. Okay, well that leads to just the giants left. I'm worried that it's going to be very long. I'm trying to keep these episodes to 30 minutes or less. 30 to 40 minutes, really. So I guess we'll just see how it goes. Hey, my rank's up. I'm ranked 82. Wait. Still 7 in weaponry. You'd think I'd be better in archery, but apparently not. I'm in the teens in most things. 7 powers overall. And skills overall. I'm very high up still in ranking. I'm 76 in gold. Wow. I'm good with it. I don't have to be first. One day I may be first. Stats. Bring back the stats. Bring on the wonder. Got it all wrong. Okay, let's go. Giants Part 1. A solemn decree. You've accepted a task presented to you by Hawklor Village Council. The delivery. A solemn decree to the Fist of Mountain Giant Honley Jack. A tactfully crafted document that serves to announce the termination of all future tribute payments from the village of Hawklor. Alright, let's go. You've accepted the task of delivering a tactfully crafted but solemn decree from the Hawklor Village Council to the notorious mountain giant Honley Jack. The decree states that Hawklor will not continue to remit tribute payments to him, as his protection is no longer required. It is a bold stand, to be sure, for a small, relatively defenseless settlement to take against so powerful an adversary. I mean, we could just kill him. But it is one that many in the peaceful hamlet feel is long overdue. Your reputation as an adventurer of great skill and bravery, your lengthy list of illustrious accomplishments, led the village elders to seek you out for the task of delivering the decree, even without the promise of payment. You gladly accept the task, for you have learned throughout your many adventures risk and reward most often prove to be an inseparable pair. That's a good lesson. Risk and reward as an inseparable pair. You get to set out on what could prove to be rather perilous adventure. You arrive at the village council building in Hawklor just after daybreak on a crisp spring morning, and are quickly ushered inside, where you are greeted by 3 of the village elders. We understand the danger involved in this task, says one of the elders, and regardless of your stalwart reputation, Allison, we would not fault you for reconsidering your acceptance of the mission. There is a life and limb to be considered when dealing with the likes of Honley Jack. We reply that you have not reconsidered and that you are determined to faithfully deliver the decree. The elders are delighted. One of them produces a bound piece of furled parchment and hands it to you. You carefully stow the decree away amongst your possessions and prepare to set out into the hills west of the village, embark upon a somewhat arduous journey to the lair of the fearsome mountain giant. With the directions given to you by the village elders serving as your guide, you make your way into the wooded hills west of the village and begin the lengthy trek to Honley Jack's remote lair. Nearly an hour into the journey, you arrive on the edge of the tangled swamp that runs along the eastern edge of the rocky hills, which hide in the dell in which the giant's lair is located. According to your directions, a well-marked trail cut through the swamp provides the most direct route into the hills beyond. However, standing at the edge of the dangerous-looking morass, you feel that you might be able to swing to the south and skirt around the lower end of the swamp, resuming your journey on the opposite side. Let's go around. Having no desire to risk the likely perils of the swamp, you travel south along its eastern edge and make your way around the southern tip of the tangled morass. You round the lower end of the swamp and have only just started up the western edge when you're abruptly reminded of the dangers of the wild. A band of 4 ogres spills off of a wooded slope to the west and quickly moves to surround you. The savage hulking creatures toy with you for several moments, prodding and poking at you with their wooden clubs and stone hammers. Your mind races as you steel yourself for what will likely be a brutal fight for your life. The larger of the ogres, the skull of a forest troll strapped around his chest, steps back from his brethren, and the gluttoral snarl orders them to attack. Quick combat. Dead! You step over the bloody remains at your feet and prepare to face the lone remaining ogre. The towering brute snorts derisively as he strides forward to engage you, his thick fingers tightly gripping his wooden club. The ogre's lifeless body strikes the ground with a loud thud. You make a quick search of the remains of the ogres and discover only a small quantity of gold amongst their meager possessions. After taking a few moments to rest, you once again set off snorkeling along the western edge of the swamp. After a lengthy northward trek, you come across a trail you have originally been following as it merges from the swamp. Where you rejoin the trail, you find yourself on the eastern edge of the wide expanse of the forested hill and towering crags. The well-marked trail extends into a new landscape and proceeds cautiously along it. Your every sense alert for the first sign of danger as you make your way into the domain of Honley Jack. Let's read a little bit about Honley. Wow, I was going to read a little bit. This is a lot. The particularly nasty mountain giant that has been an unpleasant fixture in the remote areas of Western Teesa for almost a generation. Before he appeared in the area, just over 50 years ago, it was commonly believed that a race of mountain giants had become a thing of legend. At first, Honey Jack won praise from local town and villages. Oh yeah, we read about this, where he defeated the Dust Dragon. And now, he's asking for tribute. We read this. On the past episode, friends. The trail cuts its way deep into the forested slopes of the western edge of the hot hills. Despite your close proximity to the lair of Honey Jack, as indicated by the directions given to you by the village elders, you strangely do not feel as if you are in any immediate danger. Through mountains and hills, the trail suddenly divides, branching southwest and northwest. You pause at the fork and stare along both links, wondering which you should take. The directions supplied to you by the elders bear no mention of any split. To the southwest, the trail runs through an opening in a dilapidated stone wall that encloses an overgrown orchard. To the northwest, the trail becomes quite rocky as it climbs steeply into the hills. Well, I don't want to go in the hills. I think I'd rather do the orchard, but let's do divination. You sense the danger exists in both directions. You also sense that since entering the hills, your every move has been closely watched. So it doesn't matter. So I'm going to go through the orchard. You follow the trail as it passes through a wide gap of a dilapidated stone wall and winds its way through the overgrown orchard. Based on the directions provided to you by the village elders, you know that on the far side of the orchard you should find a rocky dell wherein lies the lair of Honley Jack. A sudden rustling in the trees startles you and you spin around, but to your surprise there is nothing there. Turn around and to resume your trek, only to find yourself confronted by three towering Dormic. You are not the usual human, grumbles the fearsome of the wicked Dormic. Isn't Dormic like one of those tree-looking things? Yeah, it's a tree being. You're not the usual human, rumbles the foremost of the wicked Dormic. Only Jack does not approve of strange wonders in his hill. We smell something foul afoot. The trio of menacing tree beings lumber forward, and their wooden features nod in their hideous frowns as they move to attack. You quickly ready yourself to face the first of the hostile Dormic. Quick combat. Dead. You leap nimbly to the side and narrowly avoid being crushed by the falling bulk of the slain Dormic, and the second of the wicked tree beings is immediately upon you. Or he's dead. The last remaining Dormic bears signs of bad brush with fire. The gnarled tree, its bark blackened in patterns consistent with open flame, lumbers forward and attacks. Oh, who set you on fire, bub? The remains of the three Dormic lie strewn on tall grass of overgrown orchard. Much to your dismay, you spot three more of the cruel creatures searching in direction. So we gotta stand our ground. We can't roll out of here. Fight. I said fight to your last breath. Nice. The remains of the six Dormic lay to the ground at your feet. You step past the bodies of the wicked tree beings and are about to set off on the trail when you catch sight of something near one of the fallen creatures. You stoop down to examine the object and discover this a magnificent iron helm. You have no doubt that it belongs to a former victim of the merciless Dormic. Without further delay, you once again move along the trail. See, we have to rid the world of these creatures. Who knows what's around, you know what I mean? We gotta keep the world balanced with normal beings. Yeah, you once again move along the trail as it winds its way through the remainder of the abandoned orchard. The final leg of your trek brings you to the western edge of the hard hills. The trail you're following runs up to the edge of the deep, boulder-strewn dell. According to the directions you receive from the village elders, somewhere at the bottom of this rocky valley lies the lair of Honley Jack and his two sons. A lone crow perched in the branch of dead hemlock issues a lonely call, and you can't help but feel that the animal is perhaps in some way warning you against proceeding on your current course. Taking one last look around at the forested hills you are leaving behind, you plunge into the dell, following the well-worn trail down into the wide rocky ravine where it runs shoulder to shoulder with a swift-flowing stream. Picking your way through the maze of boulders while maintaining your footing on the loose, stony ground proves to be no simple task. When at last you reach the bottom of the dell, you lean up against a chest-high boulder and allow yourself a moment's rest to recover from the arduous descent. You're about to resume your trek along the trail when suddenly the ground shakes and two booming voices echoes loudly off the side of the ravine. Peering westward, you spot two massive humanoids making their way through the field of boulders that litter the bottom of the dell. No doubt that the two formidable-looking characters move slowly in your direction of Sag Jack and Hen Jack, the notoriously cruel sons of Honey Jack. You quickly duck behind the boulder against which you've been leaning and wait with bated breath as the two half-grown mountain giants approach. In a few moments they are standing only a few yards from where you rested only seconds before, talking and arguing loudly against themselves. Sag Jack and Hen Jack each stand just over 10 feet tall and appear to have twice the bulk of even the largest of ogres. A heavy wooden club is slung across the back of each of the brothers. Can't help but think that their tremendous size, thickly muscled torsos and broad-shouldered bills only hint at the dangers of this pair presents to any would-be foe. From your hiding place, you continue to watch and listen to the two giant brothers carry on in an animated and almost amusing fashion. Suddenly, however, one of them says something that shocks you to the core, causing your heart to skip a beat. You play the words of the young mountain giant in your mind, and you attempt to gauge the enormity of their weight. If the young giant speaks the truth, his father, Honey Giant, the terror of 2 generations, who is said to know no equal, and whose longevity begat the rumors of mortality, has been dead 9 days. Derailing from the stunning revelation gleaned from the conversation of Sag Jack and Hen Jack, listen as his brothers speak in earnest about their plans in the wake of their father's death. You again shocked to learn that the giant brothers are seeking to leave the area for good. Magically disguise themselves as men with the help of an unscrupulous spellcaster and human ally. It is for the arrival of this ally that the brothers presently wait. You almost find yourself pitying the two brothers, believing that perhaps they are seeking to leave behind the life they have known of the cruel and brutal hand of their father, but as they continue their pursuits, soon learn that their desire to leave is for more immediate reasons. Learn that Honey Jack died nearly 2 weeks ago, slipping away peacefully in his sleep, having at last succumbed to the ill health he had acquired over the past couple of decades. This passing left the two giant brothers in immediate quandary, for they knew the wide band of territory their father controlled was now open to marauding by very elements long subdued solely by the virtue of his fearsome reputation. The most dangerous of these elements, who inhabits land, is a mountain giant named Jakan, who hails from the thick of felled root and range. You shortly discover that Jakan is none other than the half-brother of Honey Jack. As the brother continued to discuss the situation, and that Jakan is already on the move, making his way through the remote countryside of Western Tees en route to the lair of his deceased half-brother with all possible haste. From what you can glean from the brothers' conversation, Jakan, while not quite as mighty as Honey Jack, is a giant of the worst order, employing cruel and violence without mercy against any who oppose him. You're certain that his looming arrival can only mean continued and more severe trouble for the towns and villages in and around the hard hills. Realizing that the crew you're band is now useless, you decide you must reveal yourselves to the giant brothers and hope to find out more about the grave peril apparently heading this way. You sail sharply and step out from behind the boulder into plain sight. Okay, we're stuck or something? Game stuck or something? Oh, here we go. Hey chaps! Both the young guards are caught off guard by your sudden appearance, and Sag Jack immediately reaches for his enormous wooden club. You aren't who we're waiting for, grumbles Sag Jack. Hen Jack quickly stays his brother's hand and steps forward in a deep rumbling voice, very reminiscent of his father's demands to know your business. Deciding that it's pointless to attempt to disguise the nature of your mission, you disclose the truth of the matter, then boldly revealing the decree that you were tasked to deliver to the now deceased father, and making plain that all that you've learned through your eavesdropping. My father might have let you live even if you placed this in his hands, said Hen Jack, looking over the decree with obvious disdain. You have no such luck with Jakan. The brothers appear to have no desire to harm you, and even go as far as telling you a bit more about Jakan. You are dismayed to learn that he maintains a small army of goblins and ogres that are freely that he freely wields against any who dare oppose him. We'll be gone before he ever steps foot in these parts, and now Bluebeak will see to it none will ever know us, says Seg-Jack, referring to their plan of magically disguising themselves as human. Then in some distant part we'll start to get away from all this. And if we go about heading back how you came, we'll have no quarrel with you. We've turned over a new leaf, you might say, lucky for you. The name mentioned by Seg-Jack Bluebeak sticks in your mind. For a moment you stand and look at the two fists and giant brothers. It is beyond any doubt that Seg-Jack and Hand-Jack are responsible for much of the mayhem that plagued the part of the kingdom over the past 2 decades and more. Many a long traveling wayward caravan has unwittingly wandered into these parts only to disappear without trace. That's right. They're not innocent. They've been killing people and marauding people for decades. Can't help but feel that by leaving and allowing them to go through planning disguise and escape, the two cruel and murderous brothers might well never be held accountable for their crimes. Still, prosecuting a pair of young but former Mount Giants is quite daunting to say the very least. I think we should take care of them right now. What else is an adventurer supposed to do? Attack! The mind is made up. Seg-Jack and Hand-Jack must be dealt with here and now before the cruel pair escapes forever from the punishment that's long been owed them. Mind races, you contemplate the best course of action. How about what would we do with theory? I just want to know what we would do there. Bid the Tyrant brothers farewell and head off east, pretending to make your way out of the dell. When you're out of sight, you stealthily swing the north and double back in the direction you position yourself behind a large boulder just to the left of Seg-Jack, and when the moment is right, you creep forward, prepare to strike a vicious blow from behind. Failure! As she was about to strike your blow, Seg-Jack unexpectedly turns around and confronts you, raising his. You had your chance. As he had in preparation for driving you to the ground, he grumbles as he attempts to begin the massive weapon. Death. Wow. Hurt me, didn't he? Hand-Jack rolls at rage and lifeless from his brother crashes to the ground, his eyes burning with hatred. The young mountain giant thunders forward and swoops at you with a wooden club, hell-bent on avenging his brother's death. The enraged giant forces you back against the towering boulder, cutting off any routes of escape you might have had. You must fight him to the death. Death! That's right, death of the heathens. The bodies of the son of Hand-Jack lie in the massive heap on the ground before you. Your stunning victory this day has achieved vengeance for many countless souls whose lives these cruel brutes have ended to ruin. That's right! With Seg-Jack and Hand-Jack now gone forever, you realize you could perhaps find him and investigate the caves that they, along with their father, called home. Yes, let's look for the caves. At the far western end of the dell, you come upon a now deserted lair of Hand-Jack and his sons. A massive mouth of the deep cave protrudes from the side of the steep, rocky slope, and you cautiously enter it. The interior of the cave is truly massive, with its upper reaches ascending beyond the range of your light source. First, you are dismayed to find that, aside from several positive degrees, the cave is empty. However, as you proceed toward the back wall of the giant's lair, you discover a second chamber nearly as large as first, and this one's not entirely empty. Perhaps close to 1,000 items of all manner and type and description fill this chamber. You pick your way through the piles and miss a floor, seeking anything that might be of use or value. Many items lying around are commonplace and of little interest. However, your careful search yields a handful of interesting and potentially valuable pieces, which you place to one side as you continue to sift through the clutter. When you've completed your search, you pore over the pile of interesting items that you have discovered. Wow, 5,000 gold? Yes, I'll take all the unidentified things. In the open chest hidden behind one of the piles of loot, you find a large quantity of gold. You assume the gold is part of the tribute collected by Hand-Jack for over tons of villages over the years. You widely decide to take the gold with you. Convinced you're not overlooked anything of value, you make your way out of the cave. What do they use gold on? Let's talk about that. They don't live in a town. What are they using gold for? Who are they paying? You return straight to Hawklor, proceed swiftly, and without incident. It's nearing dusk when the small village again within sight. You proceed immediately to the council building, where you find the elders actually awaiting your return. The news of Hand-Jack is dead elicits cries of joy from the usually stoic village elders, but the revelry is short-lived. When you tell them you've learned concerning the looming arrival of Just Jagan, the joy quickly fades the excessive gravity of the situation. You let the entirety of your tale to the elders, and when you come to the part concerning Seg-Jack and Hand-Jack, they listen with great interest. You go over the details of the encounter. The others, alarmed by the account of how the giant brothers plan to escape into the safety and obscurity with the help of magic The Atreides human spellcaster. He announced me a victory over the suns. Upon the Jack is greeted with stunned silence. One by one, the elders recover the shock inspired revelation and step forward to praise you, each of them meeting in a shoulder cross. There are few who thought this day would come to pass in the span of our lives, says one of the elders, choking back tears of joy. The terror and the sun's gone forever. Despite the other dangers you have reported, this is truly a glorious day. You suddenly call the large amount of gold you discovered in the Giant's Cave, knowing that small fortune likely belongs to be Hawklor or perhaps other nearby settlements. You quickly decide come to a decision in regard to what you will do with the 5,000 gold tokens you found. I'm rich. I don't need your money. I am virtuous. You inform the elders of discovery the giant's land, hand over to them the 5,754 gold tokens. The others seem taken back by your generosity and perhaps even your honesty, and they thank you for returning what rightfully belongs to those who have lived under the shadow of Honey Jack for these many long years. You remain in deep council with the village elders long into the night, discussing what should be done in regards to looming threats and the arrival of Jastigar. It is eventually decided by all present that you will reconvene tomorrow at dawn to draw up a plan for dealing with the half-brother of Honey Jack. It was almost more comforting to know that it was old Honey out there on the edge of the wild, said one of the elders who make the way. I suppose the known evil is less frightening somehow. The elders thank you again, and you agree to meet them back here at dawn. You take your leave and stroll along Hawklor's main thoroughfare, gazing at the ceiling of bright, flickering stars suspended in the frigid night of the breadth of North Broadlands. As you step to the front doors of Hill Street Inn, eager to catch a few hours of sleep before dawn, you have no way of knowing that the meeting set to convene at the break of dawn will never take place. What? The meeting set to convene at the break of dawn tomorrow will never take place. This sounds ominous. Hey, just in time for us to get to this end of this episode. I'm pretty excited to hear about the second half of this. The meeting doesn't take place. What, is they come into town and kill everybody? Like, what's happening? This is I'm supposed to automatically get healed. My game's having a condition or something. So until next time, I guess we're gonna see you then and see what happens with these giants. Thank you so much for hanging out and joining me. You know what I'm gonna say. Peace.